Hi, friends, and thanks for joining us wherever you may be, morning, noon, or night, east, west, north, or south. I'm glad you're with us. We're picking up where we left off a couple weeks ago in 1 Samuel, and we're going to chapter 22. This is the story of Dave in a cave, and I've done this several times, and in fact, it's the one message I get people to ask me to do again from time to time. But this is Celebrate Recovery Month and National Recovery Month. And the whole aspect of Dave in a Cave is very much in a line with recovery. And I just want to say to you that there's a freedom. There is a freedom for every addiction. There is a freedom for every cave that you find yourself in. And I'm here to encourage you that if you don't get over your despair, then the hiding place becomes your prison place. So I'm encouraging you with this message, something that David did, some of the things that David did to find his way out of the cave. So he jets off in the 22nd chapter of 1 Samuel to Adullam, the place where he hides out with other malcontents. Probably not the best way to get a recovery, but there's something really cool that happens with those that are surrounding him. So here's what I want to do. I want to give you 3 things to celebrate from a cave and coming out that will help you come out of a cave. And the first thing is celebrate looking up. And I do it from Psalms 142. And this is the place that David talks about his Adullam cave experience that is in Psalms 142. And the first 2 verses, Lord, I cry out to you, make haste to me, give ear to my voice when I cry out to you. Let my prayer be set before you as incense, the lifting of my hands as the evening sacrifice. So what he does in the midst of his despair is he looks up. He calls on the attention of God. He looks up to find God in his place, looking down upon him. And this is just the aspect of looking up that's crying out to God. God can handle your crying. God can handle your despair. God can handle, if you got some complaints, the best place to take it is unto the Lord. So in this prayer that David does in the 142nd, he lifts up his face and begins to cry out for God to intervene. And that's the best place to start. God can do for you what you can't do for yourself. And everybody that goes through a recovery successfully knows they can't do it on their own. And I'm a spiritual being. I have to recognize that God can do for me what I can't do for myself. David understood that. And when he was in despair, even in a cave, he begins to cry out to God. So look to God for your strength. Look to God, the lifter of your soul. Begin to call out to the Lord. Lift up your face unto the Lord and cry out to him. That's where we start. And then celebrate by looking around. This is really good. So you start by looking up, and then the second thing, you look around. And in this text of 1 Samuel 22, it says, David therefore departed from there and escaped to the cave of Adullam. So when his brothers and all his father's house heard it, they went down there to him. Now, for some of you, maybe family's not the greatest thing to have around you when you're in despair, but I'm a firm believer in family, and I'm a firm believer in that God has set us in families. And I'm also a firm believer for those that are in reentry. And studies have showed that those that have family that visit them while they're in prison and stay connected to them do extremely well in reentry. And the same thing is true with recovery. I've talked to a lot of parents. If they didn't get proactive for their kids that were in addiction, nobody was going to do it for them. And thank God for a lot of people, they have family that cared about them, that loved them, and wouldn't give up on them. I can say names right now of parents who did not give up on their kids. And because of that, recovery was successful. If you don't have some family around you and some people that really love you, so you got that family element that can really help you. But you have another family element, and I like to call that the bio family and the biblio family. There's the bio family that is your DNA. And then there's the biblio family, the family that that biblically, spiritually is connected to you. And David has a bit of that both, and we see it a little bit later in Scripture. But here's the interesting thing about the family aspect for David. And so David asks in this chapter, he asks help from the Moabites and needs help from them in verse 4. So he brought them before the king of Moab, and they dwelt with him all the time that David was in the stronghold. So David brings his family there. And the reason why that happens is because there's this connectivity in the book of Ruth. Ruth the Moabite. And in that, there's a marvelous redemptive story through Naomi and Boaz and Ruth. And in Matthew chapter 1, you have the lineage that is talking about Solomon begot Boaz, and Boaz begot Obed, and Obed by Ruth begot Jesse, and Jesse begot David. This is family. And so David moves his family and asks protection from the king of Moab because the Moabites were the place where restoration took place for some of the family members that go way back prior to the book of Samuel. And it's critical for David at this point to go back and have that family connection. Boy, you need family. You got to have, and I know some people watch this may not have family, but you need to look around. And if you don't have DNA family, and I understand that there are people that don't have that, get your biblio family around you, man. You need your biblio. You need your bio, you need your biblio. And if you don't have bio, you need biblio. And if you don't have biblio family, get your biblio family so that you can have that building up, that foundational support that you need. If you're going to ever come out of the cave that you're in, if you're going to ever be able to celebrate recovery, you're going to need other people to do it and around you. And God puts you, just as the scripture says, he puts you in families. He also puts you in biblical, spiritual families. When I say biblio, I mean your biblical family, your spiritual family that is around. Your church is your spiritual family. It offers you great support. So look up to God. Look around, because God places you right where you're at and puts powerful people in your life. I was ministering to a guy that we have a mutual friend, an older man that's an incredible, godly man that just somehow connected to this young person that I was mentoring and talking to. And it's just amazing some of the things that this mentor had to offer and speak into the young man's life. And I just marvel at the way God does that. God sets you into places, and especially spiritually aligning you into places. So look up, look around, and then here's the third thing that is just as important. Celebrate by looking down. So celebrate by looking up, celebrate by looking around, and then celebrate by looking down. And in that 142nd Psalm, the Bible talks a little bit about who God put around him. And then in Psalms 143, verse 7, it talks about the same thing. Do not hide your face from me, lest I be like those who go down to the pit. Now, this may be a little bit stretched, but hang with me. I'm almost done. So some people go down to the pit. And David didn't want God to hide his face from him, lest I be like those. Do not hide your face from me unless I be like those who go down to the pit. The truth of the matter is there are a lot of pits, and there are a lot of people in pits. And when God does a work in your life and reaches into your life and pulls you out of a pit, and you begin to celebrate recovery, one of the things that he's going to put in your heart is to help other people celebrate recovery. And to do that, you need to look down. So you look up to God. You look around as well, because God puts you right where you need to be for support. And then you need to look down to find some others that you can hold their ladder and help them climb. And the interesting thing, I don't have time to read it now, but the interesting thing to me and the beauty of the of 1 Samuel 22 is who else is in the cave. And when you experience the recovery yourself, then you just naturally want to help others. And the beauty of the other people that are in there, they are the mighty men of valor that David has to lean on later in life. But they're in there with them, and he encouraged them and brought them out. Their names are listed in 2 Samuel 23. Excuse me. As I read this, and it inspires me when Adoniah, Eleazar, Shammah, and Benaniah. Benaniah famously went into a pit on a snowy day and killed a lion. But these guys are in that cave with them. They're right there. And whatever David did in encouraging himself and what he got from God was transferable to others. Now, I don't know if he had to do anything to them, but remember, there's about 400 other men in there. They're all malcontents. They're not much better off. They're having a bad day too. They lost their families, and things have collapsed on this for these men. And David taps into God, looks around. The Moabite lineage helps him. That's family, but there's godly people as well. And David always leans on Samuel mainly, and Jonathan. And so there's encouragement taking place. And then he transfers something here because these guys raise up and become mighty men of valor. You can't help others get to where they need to be unless you've got some experience of going there yourself. And David had done that. He looked up. He cries out to God. Psalms 142. He looks around the family. 1 Samuel 22, 1 through 4. It lists it right there. And then you go to Matthew chapter 1, you see the lineage, and that's all family. It's amazing, but we don't always have that family. And many times in Alaska, there are two kinds of people, those that got family here and those that don't. And many of them don't have, but they have. You can find a biblical family. So your bio family, your biblio family, that will encourage you in the Lord and strengthen you and cause you to go around. So you look up to God, you look around for family, then you look down because there's always someone else that you can minister to and you can help because you know what God did for you and you know he'll do it for others too. Father, I pray a blessing on those that are watching and listening. I pray, Lord, that you continue to speak into our heart and our life and let us encourage others. And I think of so many of us that have come through recovery, and especially this month as National Recovery Month. I pray that you encourage us to be looking for those that we can also speak into their life and help them up and hold their ladder. God bless you.